conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, all. I'd like to call the Plan Committee meeting to order. It is Tuesday, January 27, 2026 at 7 p.m. And we have a quorum. We have 4 of our members up front here, and we have 3, I see 2, 3. We have all 3 online, so we've got a full house. Okay, number 3 is approval of previous minutes. We've got a noontime meeting on December 2nd and the 7 p.m. So if I could have a motion for approval.
Okay, I'll move to approve the Plant Committee working session meeting minutes from Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 as presented.
And can I second? Thank you. Any changes or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that set of minutes is approved.
Okay, I move to approve the Plant Committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 as presented.
A second.
Second, thank you. Any changes or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, both sets of minutes are approved. Number 4, changes in the agenda. Brent, do we have any?
No changes, Ken.
Okay, thank you. And number 5, visitors' comments. You'll be welcome to make comments when your particular item come up, but if you have any general comments online or in person. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to number 6, Anderson House Condo Association at 9976 Moravia Street. It's a design review for deck stair railing replacement. Brent.
PD, are you?
Sure, I could. Okay.
You want to give us the feedback from HPC then?
Yes, HPC, I recuse myself as chair and also for the discussion. I answered a few questions and HPC voted to approve with the option of either doing composite railings and or aluminum, powder coated aluminum. So that was their thing. And I will recuse myself from the vote on this. I will answer any questions. The material is over on the wall on the floor. Powder coated aluminum, Vans is doing the job. It's something they recommend. They're starting to go to aluminum just for the strength of it and the upkeep. They've been having problems with the other option would be the composite plastic, and they said they have a lot of problems as it ages and gets brittle.
Mm-hmm.
People shovel their decks off and crack some of the coverings, the post coverings. So they're pushing this. That's not what I expected, but I think it's the way to go. But anyway, I'll answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll push myself away from the desk.
Okay. Questions for BD on
BD,
this proposal?
BD, are you recommending it or requesting it as aluminum now?
Yes, we are.
So the fact that HPC said either one is kind of irrelevant. You're going to do aluminum.
We will do aluminum.
Yeah.
Based on Van's recommendation.
Yeah. Okay.
It appeared, did I hear that correctly, that was HPC's recommendation also between the two?
They ended up doing that, but I had kind of put in the application either or,
Right.
just like the Ephraim condos did back in October.
Right.
But, you know, I was ready to go composite and Vans said, nah, we'd rather have you go
Talk you out of
metal.
it. Yeah.
Are your samples over there? Is there any aluminum over there? Or is that all
Yeah,
composite?
no, that's aluminum. I can bring it over.
Sure, bring it over. Let's take a look what you got. As long as you haul them in here.
Yeah, you can haul them out.
No, you can keep them.
Okay, this is the top rail, the guardrail.
Uh-huh.
If you flip it over, you'll see the holes.
Oh, that's heavy. Wow,
Um,
that's substantial. I'll say, I didn't expect it to be this thick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice.
This, the balusters will be square, so they'll look, Kathy, HPC thought square looks more real.
Mhm.
And then, as you may have heard, somebody here, Vans will cover the edge of the decking with what they call pay-light. It's just synthetic board.
Mhm.
So you won't see any of the, or the, you know, the main structure is made out of treated pine. And the pictures that were here before, maybe you heard it, we've had some of the 2x6s are the choices. And now code is either 8 or 2x8 or 2x10. I talked to Vance today, and Bob wasn't sure which one their planner figured in there, but it's definitely not 2x6. And then all the support beams, like you see on that far one behind you, are will be 6x6 to hold the structure up. And the as you what you saw in the photos with the Trex magazine, the posts in between the main structures will be that look front one up. That's a composite post with aluminum railing.
Oh, okay.
So we will go with aluminum, and that was down on the next picture. It's just square. But Mary and I were there during the tornado, and I think I told you up on the third floor, we had 4 heavy deck chairs that blew to the north, and 20 seconds later they slid to the south, and they hit the railings on both ends. And I thought, here we go. And when we finally went out there, nothing was wrong with the railings. They withstood it, and they were some heavy deck chairs, and the winds were pretty heavy too. And we were standing there watching it like dumbheads. Anyway, this will be the deck board. It'll be one shade lighter than this one, but this is Trex. I think everybody's.
Good.
Questions?
Other questions for BD from our members online?
Hey, Rick Hoyerman here. BD, are they like wood? I mean, I'm trying, obviously can't see the samples, but.
The aluminum, yeah, no, the aluminum railing is powder coated so that if you want to say it's a wood-like look, you can. But it does not look like shiny metal. The decking does have a wood grain design, and the pay-light, the synthetic board is smooth on one side and a textured wood grain on the other.
Okay.
Yeah, the finish, Rick, is, I don't know, barely a matte. It's kind of a matte finish.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a shiny finish at all. Other questions for BD? Okay, then I'll take a motion.
I move that we accept the Anderson House Condo Association at 9976 Moravia Street plan to replace their decks, stairs, and railings with the materials presented.
Thank you, Grace. In a second.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nice.
Okay, BD, you have your new railing and deck and stairs. Thank you. Number 7, John and Victoria Cultra, 9887 Water Street, a new single-family residence. This is a concept review. And Brent, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, there might be a little back and forth on it, but at least to set the initial table. John and Victoria Cultra, this is the property immediately south of the Price project that was before us for the similar process, tear down an existing home and rebuild under the conditional use protected waterfront allowance. Like I said, immediately south is the property immediately adjacent then to the village beach, the north side of the beach, the next door neighbor there. So I've been working with Delires and David Green, who's been doing a lot of the calculations relative to setbacks and, you know, what the grandfathered footprints are and all those dimensional requirements that open up the door for this process. And I sent the board or the committee a couple notes just from a definition standpoint of footprint and total living space, as well as the protected waterfront ordinance itself that speaks to this. But yeah, it's a complex one, and that's one that David reached out and jumped at the opportunity to perform or pursue a concept review just to get that initial feedback, both from HPC and the plan committee. And then also just verification that this fits the opportunity for conditional use. As we know, when we rewrote that code, it grandfathers in the setbacks, so any new work can't further encroach on those grandfathered numbers. No increase to footprint, and then going up to 23 feet in height for a roof peak, and then chimneys to 25. But they did have some questions relative to can finished space above, as there's a covered porch or two in this plan that doesn't increase the footprint based on what they're, the assumptions being made, because it's not enclosed by walls. But there is finished space in this proposal on the second floor above an area that beneath is not footprint, if that makes sense. So that was something that David was looking for guidance. Does this work? Does this not work? So I guess with that, that's a couple decisions the committee would have to make in guidance in this concept review is, does that square footage on the second floor work within the code as written? And then on top of that is just the normal concept design review process relative to bulk, roof peaks, overall, compatibility with the intent of the code as it's written. So with that, I'll probably give it back to the committee. Be happy to answer questions. We do have someone from Deliriers here to speak to any questions you have additionally. And then I guess the other is, it is just a concept meeting. This isn't a formal hearing. It's not a conditional use, but we did have a community member write a letter in relation to this. I did forward that on to the committee, so hopefully you've had a chance to look. But like other concept meetings, we're not looking for a decision, just guidance and, direction.
Okay, let me start out with BD Thorpe, and if he could relay the comments that were made by our Historic Preservation Committee.
Okay, I think the overwhelming comments was it was too big for the location and it doesn't fit the look of Ephraim. There's some concern about the dormers and, the fanciness of it, but I think overall the consensus was it was too big. It doesn't fit the look of Ephraim.
Okay, thank you. Maybe what I'll do is I'll go around the table here and give everyone a chance to ask questions. And would you like to come up and introduce yourself?
Please.
You've got to hit the button there, and then the speaker will go green. That button. There you go.
Hello, Drew Willman, Business Development at Deliriers Construction, working with David Green on this one.
Okay.
So yeah, any questions I'm willing to answer.
Okay, good. Well, we'll give you some feedback. Andy, I'll start to my left here and give you the floor first.
Well, my first question is to Brent. It's not clear to me, and maybe this is obvious and I'm missing it, that the dimension, the footprint does not include the breeze, that walkway between the garage and the house.
From the current, you're
From the
saying?
current, correct.
That would be my assumption as well.
Is that correct? I mean,
yeah.
I never saw the actual numbers.
There is a comparison on the last page here.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. The numbers are there. It was never clear to me whether those numbers included that walkway space or not.
That would not be under basically current language. That would not be considered as part of the current footprint.
Okay, so just the house and the garage
Correct.
were footprint that you made work. Okay,
Yes, yeah,
thank
'cause
you.
The footprint really relates to what is climatized space.
Okay,
And-
okay.
And that's what that distinguishing.
but
factor
it
is.
certainly includes the garage, right?
Yes.
To the question of the finished space above the screened porch, do I understand, if I understand that correctly?
Yeah, as
My sense is that could not be included. That sort of defeats the purpose of living space as part of the footprint, it seems to me. The footprint is the living space footprint. And theoretically, you could build half the first floor as a screened porch.
correct, which is what we saw as we investigated this, getting to this point is technically per that, the language of the code, not the intent of the code. You could build a house on stilts.
Yeah.
said shape. You know, like
Yeah,
that's
right,
taking it to the extreme.
Yeah,
I
well, thank you.
guess.
That even exaggerated my reasoning there. So I think that question is fairly straightforward. Um, my overall impression is that this just goes against the fundamental guidelines of how we introduce the protected waterfront as essentially not changing anything from the way it was when the ordinances were written, but allowing for tear downs and replacements, but not a complete new style and complete second floor when that wasn't there in the first place. I think you replaced the garage with a garage. Now you've embedded that into the house. Yeah, okay, it's an attached garage. It doesn't extend the footprint. But I think just the overall volume of making this an entire second story goes against the foundational understandanding of design in the protected waterfront. That's a pretty strong statement, but I just think we're kind of overachieving. I must give you credit for for making this work. You got a heck of a lot of house
Yeah,
jammed into this footprint.
at first look, it looks like it might not hit all those points,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and it's almost like a dollhouse. When you look at it, you wonder how does the scale actually work and what's this going to look like? Because it isn't that big. And you made it come in under 23 feet high. I mean, give you credit for figuring that out.
I'll defer that on to David. That's not me.
But that doesn't address the concern. My final comment is that even conceding or allowing for a bit of that, it's just way too busy. I think we use the word simple more than once, and there's just too much going on in terms of the window design and the gables and the porch and the pillars. I think if you're going to take another swing at this, that's the first thing. It's just got to have a little bit more of the simple, straightforward look of historic Ephraim. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Andy. Let me go over to the other side. Grace, you want to make your comments and any questions?
Sure, I have a couple thoughts. According to the ordinance 17.20 protected waterfront district, the design criteria is in keeping with the character of the village historic district. The visual impact from the street to be minimized. This is substantially different from the existing with the additional porches, balconies, decks, increased bulk, and increased mass of this place. I don't think it fits the general character of Ephraim.
Good. BD, go ahead, and then I'm going to go to the folks online with the committee.
Could I ask you what's this finished square footage? 33 something?
It's without the garage, it's right around 3,000.
Okay. And what they have now is about 1,577, according to the appraisal report that I printed out.
Okay.
So you're more than doubling this size of the house. And I agree with Grace. I had the same thing flagged, the design criteria. It is not in keeping with the character of the village and the historic district. And the impact from the street will be tremendous. I mean, it's closer to the street than I believe the Price home is by a few feet, but it will look massive. And I just can't support it and I won't support it.
Okay, thank you, BD. Let me go to the folks online. If I can start with Monique.
Sure, I would echo the previous comments and just say I thought, our design criteria, and I was kind of looking back through also to look for that farmhouse, simple farmhouse style that we are trying to keep, especially on the protected waterfront, not I mean, this is a very nice house, but I think again, it is not in keeping with the goals of what we're trying to achieve in keeping Ephraim, and also the simplicity that we're looking for. Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Monique. Laird Hart, would you like to make a comment?
I totally agree with all the previous comments. I have nothing more to add.
Okay, and thank you. And Rick Hoyerman?
Yeah, I agree with the previous comments. I agree with HPC's take on it. I'm trying to envision how this house would fit with the scale of the neighborhood, and it just does not compute to me. It doesn't look like Ephraim, and yeah, I just don't think I could support it.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to make a couple comments, and it's too bad David's not here. You're going to relay this, but there are tape recordings available if you'd like to listen to it. And I know David knows our ordinances, but he should take a real careful look at 1726, which is our historic preservation district. And it starts off in describing the look of Ephraim. Visitors and residents often refer to the attractive, simple lines of the building, traditional gable, roof shapes, and construction of wood and stone, rectilinear. You really have to go back to simplicity. And I'm not going to judge, the house. I think it's a beautiful house in the right location. But I think you need to take a look at, and we go into a lot of detail on the design of what we're looking for in the historic district. Then to give you a little more specific, yeah, I don't see being able to build over an existing patio porch or anything else. Otherwise, you said stilt. I was thinking cantilever out the whole second floor. Yeah, it could be huge. Same with the garage. I mean, if you had a living space over the garage now, I might feel different about it, but I don't see putting living space over the garage. So you've embedded the garage and you have living space above it. I just don't see that meets the ordinance. And the other thing that kind of surprised me is we have a maximum roof height of 23 feet. And you were able to get in 2 stories, which is kind of interesting. But the roofs look very flat. And I think that's how you were able to achieve it. And that's also kind of the look that we're getting here. We weren't not that you can't, but we weren't envisioning a 2-story house. We were envisioning like a story and a half, more the Cape Cod look. So I think you have to work on the bulk, but I think, when you specifically look at eliminating any living space over the garage, because you don't have that now, and over the porch, I think you're going to come back with, obviously something different. And just a simplicity also of, some of the features, which in the right place would be beautiful, but not necessarily here.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Yeah.
Would you like to ask us any questions about?
No, I mean, I think we've covered it. Today is just more of that fact-finding
Right.
mission of
Right.
to bring this home to construction drawings. Might have 500 hours in it.
I get it.
Try not to spend that before
Right.
today's meeting.
No, I'm happy you came in like this.
Oh, yeah.
And would there be any reason they couldn't come, that we wouldn't be willing to take a second step at the same level?
No,
So
because
that-
I'm sure in talking to David too, I mean, you guys worked a lot on this just to get it to this point. And, I credit them doing that additional work from when David and I talked and let's go concept, they produced even more drawings from that point on just to get the best, product in front to get a decent feedback. But no, I mean, it all depends on what the schedule,
Right.
is intended to be. But if time allows, there's no reason we couldn't do another concept
Yeah.
review.
Yeah.
I just do that to save you time.
Yeah. we appreciate that.
Okay.
It's another, for what it's worth, there's a lot of mass talk, here too, and this wouldn't necessarily help, but it might be, useful reference to look at, I can provide them the first elevation drawings of Price that were felt by HPC and Plan, that those were a little too busy, a little too many dormers. And then what ended up being approved, kind of what simplifying on that project looked like.
Right.
That might be a little bit, I mean,
Right.
obviously Price is done now. You could drive by and
Right.
see what was approved.
Well, didn't they build Price?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We did.
Different, yeah.
Oh, different.
Different,
architect design,
different
but,
groups.
yeah.
Okay,
within,
okay.
but-
I know it's a different architect.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's a good, that'd be good. Because maybe to save you time, we went through a lot of iterations with price. So if we could, just for your benefit, go through less, we're happy to be here.
Yep, yeah, I made a note here. I can pull up those same ones. And
Sure.
It's a good idea. I'll look at
Yeah.
that and see that evolution
Yeah.
to today.
Good.
Um,
Any other comments?
Yeah, I have one
Feedback?
comment. Just looking at your prototype here, you have two chimneys and to my naked eye, they don't look to be the same level. So chimneys are a big deal with this committee, that the overall height, 2 feet above the roof height.
Yeah, that actually, so
But are they different heights in
they
your
are the
drawing?
exact same height.
Just
The back page, or I think
That's
the
my
last
bad
page of the
eye.
packet will show that.
Okay,
But this does incorporate what was learned at Price as well. As
Good,
Even
okay.
with Paul Delires, I did reference what he learned as well
Okay.
to make this, and actually we lowered the chimneys than what we originally
Okay.
proposed.
Very good. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you for the presentation. Like I
you.
said, I encourage Dave, if he wants to, he can listen so he can get the feel of all these comments.
Yeah, I'll be on the phone with him probably on the way home.
Okay, great.
So I'll relay it on.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for the comments.
All right. Let me get back to. Here we go. Now we are on to let me try that again so everyone can hear. We're on number 8, Mike and Carrie Burton. It's 9854 Crystal Springs Road, a special exception from proration of footprint and total living space maximum. And we're looking at an addition to a single family resident. And Brent, would you like to introduce?
Sure. First off, so I don't forget this part, being a special exception, neighbors within 300 feet were notified. I did not receive any correspondence relative to that exception notification. With that, this is the second application that we've had in recent years for a request to exempt from the proration maximums for footprint and total square footage. The other also was on Crystal Springs. That was a larger project. That was a complete tear down and a rebuild. That application failed, but it is using the same allowance that's built in within our code, providing this opportunity by special exception. With that, I do see Mike Burton is online. Should you have any questions, or if you want to present when called upon. But I think the crux of it is an addition, a repurposing, I guess, of an existing screen porch that's, call it the west side of the building, making that finished space, and then putting a roof or finishing the space above that, which currently is a deck, to partially finish, again, enclosed space, and then partially a covered porch. In addition, there is a small addition on the front of the deck that goes out towards the water. That is, to approve that portion would require the plan committee to approve of setback averaging, which it looks like it's been used before for that deck. Kind of common in that area. It's not encroaching any farther onto the high water mark of the bay. From a dimensional standpoint, setbacks, impervious surfaces, well, setbacks are met for the building portion. As I mentioned, the deck in front requires setback averaging. And then from an impervious surface standpoint, it does meet. It's very tight, but by their calculations, it does meet that impervious surface calc at 19.9%, where 20% is the max. With that, again, some of the same language that we talked about with the culture project, as far as the definition of footprint and total living space is included. They've got a lot of calculations as far as what those maximums are based on the proration at, I think, 0.6 of an acre lot. With that, I'm here for any questions, and
Why don't you go
Stop.
through the square footage, what they're asking for and what the proration would be? Is that on there?
I think
It's 3,000. I think at the very end.
the very end, yeah.
It's 0.6 acres.
0.6
So
acres.
that'd be 3,000 square feet.
He's got a handwritten.
There we go. That's what I was looking for.
Yep, so this all bases, you know, a minimum for new site development, R1 carries a 1 acre minimum. So then all the dimensional maximums, max footprint of 3,000, total living space of 5,000 are prorated down. So that comes to total footprint max of 1,800 square feet, max living space of 3,000. Existing footprint presently, as applied for, 1,927 square foot footprint. Proposed, they're assuming that the committee would agree that there's no increase to footprint because they're considering the existing screen porch already as footprint. That's a determination the committee would have to make. So they have the footprint still at 1927, existing living at 3,077, revised living at 3,206.
One quick question, if I
Yeah.
could. This house was built in the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was done before any of us were here. But I was wondering if we have any idea why, and maybe Mike knows this answer, why it was allowed to exceed the prorated amount when it was originally built.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. I do know that, to my knowledge, which would be fairly extensive regarding building the place, that we never had to request a conditional use, special exception, exemption of any sort. And Portside, who is doing the remodeling work for us, also built the place, and they don't have any record of any special requests. So I don't know. I don't know what the ordinances were then. I do know that we would have sought to build it within whatever rules there were. I also think that, are you there, Kyle? Can't really tell. Nope.
Introduce yourself, please, Kyle, so everybody knows.
Kyle Dose. Kyle Dose Remodeling and Addition Specialist Portside Builders.
Okay, thank you.
Is that consistent with your and Portside's knowledge, Kyle? I mean, this is the first time we've come looking for something out of the letter of the law, so to speak.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and I couldn't find anything in the property file that showed any extra process.
I was just kind of curious. I mean, it is what it is, but
Yeah.
was this proration in effect when this house was built in 1990 something?
I don't know that.
Okay, so
And
I
Mike
was
and
just
myself
kind of
tried to
curious.
find that. We could
Yeah.
not find it.
It's probably not that important, because it would have surprised me if someone had exceeded it at the time. Anyway, that being said, Mike and Cal, are there any comments you'd like to make to us before we ask questions?
I'll make one general, and then Kyle can be more specific regarding the process. But I think Brent accurately stated what we're attempting to do, which is to finish off a screened-in porch and enclose the area above it, which is now an open deck. So there's no extension of the house to the east, west, south, north. It's essentially, repurposing space which is there. And I fully understand that all space is not equal, but I tried to look at what the actual footprint was and what the total living space was, and kind of went down into the weeds. I mean, one appraisal includes, for instance, an enclosed area is 72 square feet. Not really even sure exactly what, where the attic is. So without getting into all that, I recognize the fact that we do need the special exception, but I also do think that what we're attempting to do, which is repurpose this space, kind of fits within the spirit of what that is. So I guess I would turn it over to Kyle for any like specific comments regarding the construction and whatever else.
Yeah, as far as construction goes, matching everything that the house has already kind of gives it that simple look. Even though we're keeping that second story, I think you look at, what the existing plan is, what they have there, and then you scroll down to what, our new front elevation is going to look like. It kind of squares the place up a little bit. That's the back side of the house. But yeah, like, so the roof line is a little bit taller, but it kind of, makes it look like we talked about, or like I've heard you guys say earlier, and like we've talked with Brent before, the simplicity of things. So we're matching the exact colors, the roof line, the pitch of the roof that's existing. So I think if anything, it's making it look more simple. Like Mike said, we're not encroaching on anybody to the west, to the east. We're not getting any closer to the water, Bay of Green Bay. Including that deck that we're doing, that is only getting closer to the east side of the property. It's not, but it's not exceeding what the house is off to that east side. So we're not getting in any of those setbacks like was stated earlier. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And if you guys have any questions, for me or for Mike, I'm happy to answer any of them.
Okay, good. I'm going to start with our folks online this time. And Laird, I'm going to start with you. We put Andy on the spot last round.
Thanks, Ken. First, maybe this is obvious to everybody but me, but just to be clear, this is not protected waterfront. This is R1.
Correct.
Yes.
Second, I appreciate that a great effort has been made to fit the changes within the limits of what we can do by way of a special exception, but I'm not clear that that alone is enough to justify it. And I think it's a fair question to ask why you want to do this. I understand that everybody would like more space, but is there a particular reason why you need to have more living space?
Well, yeah, I'm the one to answer that. And it's, we're not absolutely desperate for living space, but the existing screened-in porch is not really functional for us. We just don't use it. Faces west, it faces north. It just takes an absolute beating in the winter. It's not very functional, bottom line. When we built the house in 98, we, seemed like a good idea. It did not turn out to be one, but, and the space above is designed to create a little more living space just because there are more users of the place. It was built and is a, basically a seasonal family place, and families have gotten bigger and there's kind of a need for more space. So it's a combination of, yes, some desire for more space and also a bigger desire to utilize space that is just not at all useful.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that.
Sure.
And my final question is, you're right up against the limit for covering the lot with impervious surfaces, and it's such a close calculation that the starting point about how large actually is the lot could be very important. And my rough calculation, if it's a 0.6 acre, then you're right up under the ceiling. But if it's 0.59 acres, then it exceeds what is a bright line in the ordinance. So my question is, where I think I saw somewhere a statement that this was 0.6 acres, but it didn't look like it was a final or verified report. And so I'm just curious, where in the materials or what is the basis for telling us what the lot size is?
Well, I looked at the same issue, but kind of from the other side, because obviously if we had more than 0.6 acres, things would be easier. But I've got, I looked at several surveys. I think there's one on file with the village. I looked at the abstract for the property. Every single one of them said 0.6 acres. And I was looking for hopefully more, but if there's something out there with more than or with less than 0.6 acres, I would be shocked.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Monique, questions?
I had the same question Laird did, just as far as, or noticing that the zoning is not protected waterfront. So I feel like there are some differences, and I would be a little bit more open to, I understand the need for, or the desire for enclosing the porch and making that more livable space. And to me, it's a little bit more, I'm a little more amenable to it because it doesn't increase the footprint that's already there. So those are my thoughts. I don't really have any other questions, I don't think, Ken. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Rick?
Maybe my question is more to Brent or other more knowledgeable members of the committee than me. But what is the rule, or what is the precedent here for considering a transformation of a screened-in porch to conventional living space, that would somehow not constitute an increase in footprint? Has that been explored before? Is there something that I could refer to? I'm just not aware where that would or would not be the case. Can anybody speak to that?
So, I included that definition of footprint and, something I sent out to the committee this morning. Pretty much it's what's bound by exterior walls. We don't have a definition for exterior wall. So you kind of have to come up with that yourself. I don't know if it's one of those, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, but what I've always, used in talking with the Deleers port sides, of the world is, personally, I've always considered footprint to be condition space. If it's a screen porch and it's literally just screens from floor to ceiling, that's a porch, but again, this is something that I think is, for me, changed a lot in the last 10, 15 years with a lot of the products and things that are out there. There's what could be considered a screen porch or porch screening that makes it, beyond what typically would be your 3-season room or 4-season room. There's some really nice products that you'd be surprised when you walked out there that someone considered that a screen porch, because there's insulated glass. There's a lot that goes into it. So I don't know how to put that, I guess. In one hand, it's a good, this question's being put to us, so committee should make a decision whether or not we consider in this case it to be a footprint expansion in addition to a living space expansion. You can't have one without the other. So if you're improving the additional square footage upstairs, you're already approved, you can approve the footprint as well. It's not one or the other. It would have to be both. Well, I wouldn't say have to be both, but.
Could you scroll down again to the bottom there so we can look at those handwritten numbers again?
Yep.
So what you're saying is the assumption here is that enclosing a screened-in porch is not changing the footprint. And I assume the porch, when it was built in '98, is still the same as when it was built. It looks like floor to ceiling screening, so it is a porch right now. It's not a 3-season room or anything like that.
There are some small walls in there. It's like half walls in there.
Right, but there's no glass. It's all removable screening or permanent screening in there right now.
Correct, permanent screening.
Okay. So I think that's where you started, Brent, is for us to decide is the proposed footprint actually growing by
Yeah.
the square footage of the screened-in porch?
Yeah.
Well, can I speak just to that
Let
question?
me keep,
I just want to clarify
okay, go
what you
ahead, go
just
ahead,
said,
Andy.
just so I understand. This shows that the footprint is the existing footprint, 1927, revised 1927. So does that 1927 include the screen porch we're talking about?
Yeah, so I pulled the plans when we originally pulled the permit, in what would have been 97. And on it, and probably if we scroll up, it's probably on there, but we have on here the 1,711 at the first floor and 216 square foot screen porch. So it was included on those original. And then it said this, it has the total number of those two combined on there.
Okay. I guess just to this point, does it matter to what kind of action we take, whether we decide this or not? Or are we by precedent now making a decision on whether we're going to include screen porches or not? If we're saying we're not expanding the footprint, then we're assuming that screen porches count. If I'm following the logic correctly, is that right? Otherwise, we gotta subtract the
either-
screen porch.
Either screen porch as a whole, or the reason we're considering this screen porch either to be footprint or not to be footprint because again, they might not all be the same. The way they're constructed, because again, is it conditioned space? Is it
Okay.
on sonotubes? Is it part of
Well,
part of
does
the
it-
building
does it-
foundation itself?
Does it matter to our decision whether we are expanding the existing square footage?
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I'm
You would either have,
assuming, yeah.
you'd have to exempt one or both or none.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, Ken, that was
Okay.
just to clarify that.
Rick, we got discussing your first comment.
Yeah.
Do you have additional comments you'd like to make?
No, that's what I wanted to explore, what the discussion is now.
Okay, thank you. Grace, I'll go to you next.
According to my calculations thinking, it's 6/10 of an acre. What is allowed for living space is 3,000 square feet. And currently there is 3,077 square feet. What you are proposing is adding another 346 square feet in additional living space with the screen porch in the top, yeah. And so now we are getting almost 3,400 square feet. And I can't square that with the ordinance. I don't think that would be right. You're making a non-compliant property more non-compliant.
Are those numbers right that Grace just said? Because why does it say
Yeah.
revised
yeah.
living area of 3,206?
So I think where we're coming into, where we're seeing differences is one of them is including that 216 original screen porch and the other one's not.
Oh,
So
okay.
one of them seeing it as, original square footage, and then the other one is not seeing it as original square footage. So that's where the numbers are different.
Well, okay. What will be the total
Yeah.
living area when you make the screen porch a conditioned room, and then you add on to the second floor? What will be the total revised living area?
We have that bottom number that we have there.
Okay, well,
3,206.
then I'm
Yeah, I
confused with
don't-
the numbers
yeah.
that you
I
said.
read
Grace.
in this packet we had, 346 square feet is the additional living space with the porch and the upstairs bathroom and closet or whatever that's going to be.
I think they're already considering the screen porch as living space.
Oh,
But it's not living space. It's open to the air.
but the total, whether or not you consider it now, would still be 3,206 then, Brent?
That's what, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, a question regarding that. When I look at the appraisal, it has a living area of 3,021 square feet. But it also includes in that 72 square feet for an attic.
That's an appraisal.
Well, I don't know if
So-
we, rely on the appraisal. I mean, you presented these numbers to us, Mike, right?
No, which numbers?
The ones we're looking at, if you can see our screen right now, that was handwritten.
Oh, no, those were maybe taken from something I'd done, but I wrote a letter which pointed the appraisal fact out. I mean, it's the appraisal that was relied on when the Hughes property issue came up. The same company does the appraisals for Ephraim, but the most recent one had this attic square footage on there, which would knock 72 off of the 3,021 square feet of living area. And that would put it below the 3,000 to start with, without the changes that we're talking about. So I mean, I have to confess, I'm a little befuddled by, there's an issue about the footprint, and there's an issue about the living area. And I'm not certain of the numbers for each of those prior to the proposal here.
Well,
We have the numbers we started with Portside when the place was built. Kyle has those.
3,077. 3,077.
So then we can agree with this, not addition, with this enclosed conditioned space of the porch, and the addition above takes us up to 3,206.
But that included, with that 3,000, like on our plan that we submitted with that 3,077, that includes the 216 square foot screen porch. So if you go up to the original plans, like, I don't know if you can scroll up to like the original plans that we submitted to get the original permit. If you go to like that first floor on there, keep going up, that's our, yeah. Right there, so that one right there, so second floor, 1,150 for second floor original.
Mhm.
So if you keep going up, if you look right there, it's got 1,711 at the first floor. So if you add those two numbers up, you're coming at like that 2,861, and then you add the 216, and it's getting you to that 3,077.
So that number
That number differences.
on the first floor plan, that includes the screen and
Yeah.
porch?
That number where it says the 3,077 square foot total includes the 216 square foot porch, which was these are the original plans that we submitted when they went for the permit in
Okay.
97.
Okay. So then let's scroll down to the handwritten. So I just want to get in my mind what
Yeah.
we're
Right.
actually asking for.
Mhm.
And how much in addition. We know our target is 3,000.
Yeah, so the addition is what the revised one, the 3,206 minus the 3,077, because that 3,077 includes the screen porch, which that first original plan did. So that added square footage is only that bathroom closet upstairs where we're taking away some of the deck.
And so that gets us up to the 3,206?
Correct.
Okay,
yes,
okay.
Yes,
So we're going to be 206 square foot over the 3,000,
right,
the prorated amount.
right.
Okay. I
Or
think
when-
that helps me at least. but-
Or, yeah, or when that went into place, because according to this, we would have been over already then.
Right.
If that ordinance was at.
Yeah, we don't
applied
really,
at
we
the
don't
time.
really know why.
Right, yeah.
Grace, did you-
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Go ahead. Mike. Go ahead.
So Kyle, sort of the sort of bottom line number that we're looking at, according to what you're just saying, is 3,206?
Correct, yep.
Okay. Sorry. Go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, thanks. I'm going to go over to BD and ask for questions that he might have.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement that you're prorated to 3,000 square feet. So whether this was in effect or not back in 1998, the fact that you're in there now, this is what you're living with. And I guess, our job as a plan committee is to enforce the ordinance as written. So I kind of agree with Grace. Laird asked why you need it. And that was, whatever. But I feel like we need to enforce this because almost 3 years ago to the day, the neighbor, Mr. Hughes, came before us and he had 0.47 acres and that was prorated about 2,350 square feet. And he came in with a house plan that was over 3,800 square feet. And that one had not much discussion, but we shot that down because that would be a hell of a precedent to set. And I feel the same way about this. If we, we have to maintain what the ordinance says. And I'm sorry, but I can't support this. I don't want to start a precedent. The gentleman before you, we're dealing with that right there. So.
No, if I may, in the Hughes project, we vehemently opposed everybody else on the little street there because it was, way, way, way over any limits on footprint and everything else. But in any event, I understand that the job of the committee is to enforce the ordinances, but the ordinances do provide for a special exception, which is something along the lines of height, paving, things like that, that don't fundamentally change the property. And so I would, if the ordinances have to be enforced without the special exception provision, then I guess they do. There are no exceptions. But this is specifically part of the ordinances, and it allows for changes that I guess I would characterize as relatively cosmetic or not consequential. And that's what we're looking at. And I believe, as I indicated in the letter I sent to the committee, that this type of thing that we're doing is the type of thing that a special exception is more or less meant for. We're not infringing on anybody's property. We're not violating things. Maybe that some of the limits were whatever, not in place back then, but we're not changing any of that stuff.
Okay, I agree with all that, but next week somebody could come in and want 306 feet. And I'm not willing to start that precedent.
But my answer to that would be that, the committee's job is to evaluate each and every proposal on its merits as it fits with the ordinances and maybe falls into the bucket of a special exception or something else. So yeah, you may have one come before you that's, a little bit more or a lot more or a lot less or something different or something that juts to the west or east. And, that's, I don't mean to say this derogatorily, but that's your job to determine. Just because this one's granted, in other words, doesn't mean that everything that's 206 feet over, has to be. They're all individual, as you guys know.
Right.
Andy, let me go over to you for questions, comments.
Yeah, kind of to this last point, I kind of am sympathetic to the arguments made by Mr. Burton. As I'm still trying to clear up the confusion over the existing footprint numbers, the bottom line is that the revised living area is 206 square feet over the 3,000, right?
Correct.
Right. Agreed.
That's not a lot, frankly. And you combine that with the fact that the footprint really hasn't changed. They're not really adding an addition. I think those are all sort of positive statements. I agree that the neighbor issue was significantly different can of worms, and it's almost irrelevant to this one when you're comparing the size or the increase of that one to 206 square feet here. That's at least my observation, with all due respect. My biggest concern is just the visual bulk of this, building a second story as compared to a deck on top of a first story, strikes me as a significant difference. Now, doesn't have anything to do with the setback. But I would almost like to know what visual impact that has on the neighborhood. It's not clear to me. I haven't walked the property. I appreciate your pictures, but we can't really tell. Your picture, there's another building in your picture. That's the garage for this house. That's part of your property.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I find that's an answer in your favor, as I understand it, because that would that's where this would have the biggest effect. So I guess I'm getting more and more satisfied that this meets the qualification of a special exception. That would be my position.
Okay, thanks, Andy. As I look at this, my comments are, if you would come before us to enclose the porch, and we could have that discussion of what's living area, what isn't, but in the original calculation that was calculated as living area, the 3077, I'd probably support that. It's the second story, the bulk, and now that puts us up to the 3206 by putting that additional living space on top. That's what kind of is pushing me over the line of not being in support. Now, what we could do is we all stated our preferences here. We could have a motion in a second, and then I'll go through with the voice tally and see where we're at with this thing.
And one last thing that I'll say.
Sure, go ahead.
About that second story
Uh-huh.
is, if you go up, like we said, to those elevation views, I think, and this is just me, but Ephraim that wants something to look more simple. I do think that, that roof line that kind of matches that other side of the house
Mhm.
is a lot nicer looking than what, a first story with just, rubber roof and handrails would look out there. That would almost look like it's, not necessarily forced to be there, but, you got to be there, where that second story to me feels like it's coming over. It looks like the exact same as that other house. It's simple. I think 11 pitch roof, same shingles that matches. So that's where I think.
Where are we looking at?
So that's what it is right now. So you see like
Okay.
the open handrails on that side.
Right,
And then if you go down, it'll show our remodel plans right there.
right.
Is that same thing.
Put the
So,
hip roof on the top.
as kind of matches that right side of that
Mhm.
roof. It's a little bit taller, but it's underneath the existing, but it kind of has that flow to the house.
I understand what you're saying. Making a good point. Any other comments, Mike, that you'd like to make before we have a motion here?
No, I think Kyle's point is good. I mean, there's been a couple comments about the sort of bulk of the project, and it's the current screened-in porch, that bulk wouldn't change. The open kind of air porch on the top currently has a railing around it, which is, I don't know, say 3 or 4 feet high. I can't really remember, but I truly think that bulk would be, the additional bulk would be inconsequential, and you couldn't really even notice a difference unless you looked closely. It's not going to be really visible from the road, or barely. It would be visible from our neighbor to the west, the Ganses, and I can assure you that he is not at all opposed to us doing this, not just by the fact that he didn't, write in, but I just know that. So.
Thank you. Could I have a motion?
Andre, you ready?
She's ready.
Okay. I move to approve the special exemption from proration of footprint and total living space maximums, addition to single-family residence application for Mike and Carrie Burton at 9854 Crystal Springs Road as presented.
Okay, thank you. And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Andy. And before we go around, and I'll call on people for their vote, any further discussions or comments?
Do we want, sorry.
Go ahead, Andy.
Do we want to include reasons for this similar to our discussion this afternoon? Or do we wait for the vote and then qualify it? I think maybe the latter is better. Let's vote on it first.
Well, this is special exception, so we're not conditioning. Correct?
No, I
No,
think-
it would be just more, I mean, you still could condition a special exception
Okay.
if there were, things you wanted to condition.
Mhm.
But I think it's more just qualifying the
Okay.
decision
Okay.
is what Andy's talking
Okay.
about.
Well, you know what, that would be a good idea. As I go around and ask for your vote, if you'd like to make a comment as to
Sure.
why, that'd be fine. And now I'll start in the other direction. Andy, you're first.
I vote yes.
Okay?
And I'm persuaded by the fact that it does not add footprint. And I believe the additional volume or mass is mitigated by the fact that it's only the garage that is next door.
Okay, thank you. Grace?
I vote no, just because of the overage on, and it's non-compliant to the ordinance.
Okay. BD?
I vote no, because the overage, I might be swayed to do the closed-in screen porch, like you talked about, Ken.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Laird?
No, I have reasons for and against it. The reason that I'm reluctant is because if I understand the discussion earlier, this was a compliant footprint back in 1998, and it now would not be compliant. If I understand the discussion, the original footprint as we defined it was 2861, and it would not have included a 216 square foot porch because that at the time was not considered living space. So it would have been in compliance and it would have been under the 3,000 back in 1998. Today, adding in the porch clearly brings it over the 3,000, and adding in the second story also brings it well over the 3,000. And that is a concern to me. The reasons that I am in favor of it are primarily that there hasn't been any neighborhood opposition. And second, I'm persuaded that with an increased number of users, there is a need, or certainly a great benefit from having additional living space. And so I'm going to come out and vote yes.
Okay, thank you. Monique?
Let's see. Okay. I am voting yes.
Okay.
Because as I look at the photos, if I'm looking correctly at the photos that BD sent, to me, the screened-in porch, which is underneath the open deck, has siding on it. So to me, that includes, it looks like it's living space to me. And that doesn't even seem like it's that big of a push to enclose it. It's not like it's open wood framing with floor to ceiling screen. And I agree with Andy as far as the special exception goes, that the addition of the 200 plus square feet does not seem to be extravagant to me, or perhaps that far over. And the lack of impact that I think it makes on the neighborhood, and the fact that we didn't get letters against the enclosure. So I vote yes.
Okay, thank you. And Rick?
Kind of a tough call for me, but I'm going to vote yes. And the reason for that is that I do believe that the screened-in porch would be considered footprint. And I do think that, and I brought this up in the past with our committee, pardon me, I'm having a tough time talking here. I've got a terrible head cold. But I brought up in the past that with our committee, we should be able to just, be able to justify our decisions for the purpose of establishing precedent. And I wasn't involved in the previous decision with the neighboring property, but I mean, it looks like that was what, a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot addition. that would go over what would be the allowable prorated square footage. Clearly, this is an entirely different animal at 206 feet. So I guess I would say that seems to be in the spirit of what a special exception is. By my reading and understanding of our ordinances and state law interpreting it and all that. Anyway, so I would vote yes.
Okay, thank you. And now I get to vote, but I'm Mr. Irrelevant, right? I'm that last draft pick. It doesn't really matter. I was going to vote no, to be honest with you. As I said, I could support the enclosure of the porch, but not necessarily the addition, but that doesn't matter. It went 4-3 for yes, so your project is approved. And I thank you for your presentation.
Thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, number 9, new business for next meeting and next meeting date.
It's not bad form for Kyle and I to bail now, is it?
No, you're fine.
Okay. All right.
We've got to stick
Thanks
around,
again.
but you don't. Okay, thanks for the presentation,
Thanks.
Mike.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, new business for the next meeting and next meeting date. I know that we wanted to change. Is it this meeting or the March meeting?
The March meeting.
The March meeting. So we can do that next month.
We'll agenda that.
Yeah, we'll put that on the agenda. We wanted to move the March meeting back a little bit, but anything else for new business for our next meeting coming up at the end of February?
February 24th.
24th, yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll be at same place. It looks like the 17th is the 3rd. The 24th will be the 4th.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Grace. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Andy. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thanks for everybody attending online and feel better, Rick.
Yeah.
Thank you.